Well, good afternoon, everyone, and here we are with a special military operation on the breakfast bar this time. The table is out of bounds, so the breakfast bar has been taken over. How long it will remain on here? Well, I've got to have it clear by 4 o'clock. But anyway, I wanted to do a video on my integrated air defence system for my Whatif armed forces. This is just a snapshot of what the Malagasy Whatifians, propelled by oil and rare earth minerals and healing crystal wealth, would have. But this gives you an idea of what they're looking at. Now, if you don't have integrated air defence, you end up like Iran. If you do have integrated air defence and you're subject to peer-to-peer industrial war, you end up like Ukraine, where drones are being used en masse by the Russians to provide burn through of the air defences in the same way that Iran used its ballistic missiles to provide burn through of the Israeli air defences. However, the Israeli air defences are formidable, and the cost of burning through those formidable air defences is higher to any adversary. So this is part of the Malagasy Whatif conventional deterrence policy. And what do we have? Well, we have a mixture of tactical systems up to theatre level, or what you could consider to be strategic systems. There are a couple of systems which I've not covered, such as the Boxer Sky Ranger and the CV90 based Air Defender, because they're allocated tactically per those units, same as the LAV air defence systems are allocated to the naval infantry. So I've not covered those. These are the deployable assets which would be used for point defence, and which would be used for theatre defence. So firstly, everything is integrated. So where you see these upturned dapple canopy supports, they are my digital connectors connecting everything. And over time, I'll be working through things like the Patriot battery and fully digitalising that architecture using this digital representation of a digital system in plastic. It's all what if, it's all fictional, but hopefully you'll learn something about war and model obsession, as my wife calls this plastic crap. So anyway, let's start off, and we'll start off with counter drones. Now, drones are in the news, drones are in the press, drones are everywhere. Drones could be flying over my head right now. But countering drones is a key asset. So we've got top-end countering drones here with Raytheon Coyote systems. They fire this little interceptor here, which I've replicated myself in plasticard and plastic tube. And they fire these, and they do have a radar in the back, and they've got sights there for night and day operation, and a small Bushmaster as well to shoot at drones. So I've got these two, which are 3D prints from the defunct Badger range. And then I've got two which I've added to Butler's Vulcan gun system stands, because these come with an extra turret in the depressed position, but they don't come with two of the sights. So I've used some sights here, and some radars from the spare box. So I've got two which can be towed, and these can be used as point defence over sensitive tactical installations. Then we've got mobile Stinger systems here with a larger cannon. These are Badger 3D prints modified, Butler's 3D printed radar, and then some AliExpress forward-looking infrared things on the side there. So these are for my lightest forces, the airborne forces primarily, with the JLTV mounted systems, and then these deployable counter-drone systems. Moving along in terms of portability, we have the brand new Salty Sea Dog Bad Lieutenant mod. And this is quite an interesting mod because whilst you can have the Raytheon Coyotes shooting down drones, that's expensive. And as Bad Lieutenant has pointed out, if you are countering a bullet, you don't want to be spending an artillery shell to counter a bullet. So imagine the drone is the cost of a bullet. Well, actually, these Zuni rocket pods here, laser guided warheads, laser guidance kits. There's the infrared and laser guider on the top. Coupled with the Salty Sea Dog missile, you've got the ability to shoot at aircraft and shoot drones down at low cost. The Salty Sea Dog missile looks like this. It's a combination of a larger missile, kind of cut down and painted up by me, and the Salty Sea Dog air defence missile, short range missile, about 10 kilometre, 15 kilometre range, used to attack jets or drones or UAVs. But you've got those rockets there now on the new system, and that's designed to give a low cost alternative than burning up your expensive interceptors. Still on the lightweight front, we've got the Vulcan improved Vulcan gun system, 20mm gun system, IR forward looking infrared, coupled to, I've just broke it, coupled to this GPOD, which is an observation night sight infrared, and those are linked together, powered by this Butler's generator, linked into the command centre and supported by a communication centre to digitally, electronically link everything together. And they can be controlled remotely from this little laptop station, which can be tucked away in a dugout somewhere, so you're not exposing your operators. So these are the lightest systems, and the idea is everything can be joined together. Moving on then to medium range air defence, we've got the NASAMS, which primarily fires the AIM-120C, which is this thing here. So that gives you medium range, lightweight air defence. As you can see, you've got two launchers here from eBay, Forge model, two launchers here in the lowered position, an ELTA 2084 radar, NASAMS in a container for ships, 8 per launcher there. And then we've got another generator and electrical optical sighting device from Fleet Scale there. So all of this lot is the most mobile, can be carried under a Chinook quite easily. These can be carried under smaller helicopters, taken forward, used by the airborne and naval infantry. And this will protect you up to a medium range level against air threats, drones and UAVs. So if you were taking forward a bridgehead or several bridgeheads by air or by naval assault, you can take the Salty Sea Dog system with you. You can take the Vulcans here for close range drone defence, anti-aircraft, and then you've got your medium range cover. And that's probably about what Malagassi's would need for any operation. You probably would stop at about here. For their forward operating bases though, they've got the Salty Sea Dog here. They've got the extension system here, which is a loitering munition, which can also be used as a counter-drone interceptor. Psychic Susan electronic warfare kit. This is a replenishment vehicle that I've custom made from converting a die-cast, made the flatbed. There's the Salty Sea Dogs and a little crane on the back to lift them up onto the containers. So these can be placed at forward operating base. They've got the Zuni pods there. It's quite a flexible system, so you can either have the 4 missiles, 6 missiles and 2 pods, or 4 missiles and 3 pods. Again, all linked up, digitally networked to a command centre here for multiple target engagement. You've got secondary radar, secondary laser head, and you can use these at forward operating bases. This one has got the full setup of the 8 Salty Sea Dog missiles, and this was the original setup, but it's now gone on to the counter-drone setup with the Zunis. Again, another ELTA 2084 radar from the Iron Dome set. So that's really what you would take forwards if you were deploying. Now, to protect some sensitive installations like ammunition dumps or anything like that, you've got counter-drone laser system here on the high mobility truck, and you've got a CIWS to protect your command posts and your radars and shoot down anything which gets through the other systems. Another command post here, communications vehicle here, because the idea is that everything is networked together. Then we move on to the bigger systems. Now here it starts to split. So I've got a couple of systems here. I've got the Patriot battery here, which is made up of PAC-3 missiles here, and this is a Patriot PAC-3. Now the PAC-3 is designed to shoot down cruise missiles. It will shoot down aircraft as well, but primarily cruise missiles and threats like that. And then I've got the PAC-2s. Now my PAC-2s fire either the RIM 174, which is the SM6 long range missile, or they fire the RIM 66, which I call the standard, or it's known as the standard, the SM2, the older version. So my Patriots actually use these. Now the SM6 has got the longest range, and the SM2's got a shorter range, but they are what I fire from my Pack 2 launchers, for some reason, just because I've got lots of them. So the Pack 2s are mainly anti-aircraft, long-range anti-aircraft, and the Pack 3s are mainly your cruise missile and anti-missile defences. I use the AN MPQ 65 radar, so I've converted the AN MPQ 53 radar that it comes with into the later version, which has got a flat face, better targeting, traceability, higher processing, etc, etc. Now the Patriot batteries, you kind of have limited cover. This radar doesn't spin all the way round. The Elta ones do spin all the way around, and then they can settle on a sector to scan that sector. So the Patriot batteries very much cover sectors, but you point them towards your known threat. We've got a Patriot command post there, and then to protect the command post and protect the radars, lessons from the Nagorno-Azerbaijani Armenian War, a Phanex CIWS Centurion there to protect the radar and the command post from drones. Because what's happening is, and if you watch what happened in Iran, Israel used drones to attack the radars and disable the Iranian integrated air defense. So you need to protect all of your command assets from drones, as well as these protecting all your smaller systems from a longer range threat. Then we've got a specific point defense system, which is similar to the Israeli Iron Dome. Again, it's got an Alta 2084 radar, and it's got what in Israel are called the Tamar interceptors, but in America they're slightly different. The miniature hit to kill interceptors. So these hit the incoming target and kill it. And they're pretty much similar things. They look very similar. So I'm using these as MHTK interceptors. Here's the command post, and I've added again a digital network on there. These are used for specific site protection. So these are quite expensive compared to the Salty Sea Dog, the Zuni pods. But these are used to protect specific installations like oil refineries, strategic installations, nuclear installations, stuff like that. So everything is going up here from short range, medium range, long range, and now we're at the range of theatre level, which is covered by the Terminal High Altitude Air Defence System, or THAAD. Now THAAD is using these very expensive interceptors here, and the THAAD launchers, I do need to get some more launchers. This is a trumpeter one. THAAD is designed to shoot down ballistic missiles in their terminal phase. So that's when they're re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And it's really important if you look at what's happening in war, because if you look at the Iranians and what they did is they fired a load of rubbish ballistic missiles to burn through some of the lower end Israeli interceptors. And then they fired their hypersonics in to get through the higher end, the David's sling and David's arrow, or whatever it is, interceptors. So really integrated air defense systems have to be completely layered from your lower end threats up to your higher end, and the THAAD is the higher end, and that's designed to take on the ballistic missiles. Now, will it stop every ballistic missile? No. Will it stop all hypersonic missiles? No. When you get above speeds like Mach 10 and the re-entry coming in with the plasma trails, it's very hard to shoot the missile down, because the interceptor has to make a kill using kinetic energy alone, and it has to, one, break through the plasma gases, and two, it has to hit bang on. So that means you're firing more interceptors for each ballistic missile, and the cost to the defender rises exponentially. So what bad actor countries will do is they'll use things like the Duran or Shahed drone there, and then they'll mix in a load of ballistic missiles, and they'll try and overwhelm the defence. So maybe you've got your THAADs firing 4 to kill maybe 2 or 3 ballistic missiles, And then you've got another load of ballistic missiles coming in at a greater speed, different angles, and that's the idea, to overwhelm it. Now, THAAD is connected to the TPY-2, which is a very advanced radar system, and here it is from Trumpeter. Now again, this isn't a spinny radar, this is one that you would point to cover a sector, but these things can track thousands of targets and track ballistic missiles. They are pulled by high mobility tractors, and then I've made my own command posts for this side of thing, because you can't get them. You can get the radar, but you can't get the command post. So we've got the power section there, because this radar uses a lot of power. Command post and SATCOMs, and an overall command center here for the THAAD, and then that spreads down and coordinates all the rest. And the whole point of your integrated air defence is that you can't protect everything, but everything that you do have protecting assets needs to be integrated. Another command post here just on the back of a high mobility truck, and then to power the Patriots, again, because you can't readily get these for a good price, I've made my own generator set which powers the radar and the command center there. And then, like I said, I'm going through all of the Patriots, and I'll be replacing the antennas with digital ones, and this is my little antenna for communicating between them. So I hope that all makes sense and gives you a flavour of what I've been working on. Is it enough for the Malagasy? Yes. Are they planning to engage Russia? No. What would happen if they did in a peer-to-peer conflict? Well, the Russian model is to overwhelm using drones. The Iranian model surprisingly appears to be to overwhelm using ballistic missiles, which either indicates that they know that their drone systems won't work against some of these radio interceptors, or that they know that they've got enough old ballistic missiles to fire to get burned through, and then they send in their later hypersonics. So it is a bit of a game. You won't protect everything, but if you can minimise your losses and give yourself protection, that's the main thing. Now, I don't believe that Britain and most NATO countries have this kind of standard. We know that intercepting missiles like the Patriot PAC-3 are in short supply. That's that whole saga with Ukraine and whatever Trump's up to, whatever mood he's in. THAAD is also a really high-end system, just been supplied to Saudi Arabia. So they are in supply to the US allies, which Madagascar is one. But the Madagascans are looking at things like the salty sea dog, and they're looking at ways that they can now expand that system so they can get an indigenous missile for the NASAMS, which means you're not relying on Raytheon, who are having to produce all of this stuff here. So that's where laser technology fits in as well, because lasers can shoot drones down at lower cost without using interceptors. So whilst they've got this and it's pretty formidable, they're looking at ways of getting their own indigenous missiles. Now, they're quite helped in this aspect that they're using the RIM 174s and the standard missiles here from the PAC-2s, which means that they're not drawing the Patriot PAC-2 demand, but the PAC-3s are the ones which are really causing the issues for Ukraine. So I hope this gives you a flavour of what I'm working on. Try and keep it cutting edge, try and keep it relevant to the Whatifians. And again, for most of their threats and most of their deployments, they'll actually stop here. And that's why I've grouped these together, because when you've got these assets here and these counter-drone assets, you don't necessarily need them all. But if they were deploying to a base in Africa, they'd probably set up a Patriot coverage. And for the homeland and their most valuable air bases on the Seychelles and Comoros Islands, up near Sakatru, even on those islands, they would expand up to the Patriots and keep the THAADs back in the home islands. So lots of options. Take care. Goodbye.